This is lap one of America. We entered 2 Vixens in it. They didn't do well, but the guys that drove them had a lot of fun. That's down in Detroit. I didn't drive. I just let them go do their thing. And this is one of them again with a silver dome in the background. These are probably not. These were probably not sold. These were probably early prototypes. Just a rendering of the plant that we had built. These are just a few shots of the plant. This is the assembly fixture for putting the 2 halves of the body together. This is the same end of that particular assembly line. The 2 body halves were put together and mounted on the underbody, and the basic body parts were finished, and then it went through a paint oven. This is the chassis, obviously. This is the sort of the final assembly line, if you will, after paint, and the body's been mounted on the chassis. That's a pretty good shot of the plant. The lower right-hand corner is the paint booth. Testing whether you could put them on a conventional automotive haulaway, which it turned out you could. These are just a list of some of the things that we used in all of our presentations to emphasize what we were trying to do. Exceptional fuel economy, contemporary styling, optimal space utilization, and garage capability. And I think we met those objectives. Built with today's technology from the ground up. And you probably have seen some of these. We did get quite a lot of good press, and we're on the cover of a number of magazines. This is a needlepoint thing that my daughter did, and I don't know whether any of you are familiar with it. There's an old cartoon around once that said, how does that go? A woman is only a woman, but a car is an automobile, or something like that. And so my daughter took off on that and did this one, which I love. An RV is only an RV, but a Vixen is a motorhome. And that, folks, is my presentation. 10,000 wouldn't even buy the business cards. Yeah. I would say to even think about doing it, you better start with 10 million. Total. Well, if you put in 10, then I can find somebody else that puts another 10 in, but I think 10 would do it. I'd be glad for a minute or two just to answer any questions if anybody would like to answer. Yes. When we had the first prototype finished and ready to drive, we took it down to the Bendix Proving Ground. I took the aero guy down with me who had worked at American Motors with me, and he was amazed that I hadn't made any changes. So often in the automobile companies, the aero guys do one thing, and the styling guys, if you will, don't like what the aero guys tell them, and they change it. And this guy was amazed that we hadn't changed anything. And I think we may have worked on those in the full-size model later on. And incidentally, just so everybody knows, that original Dash 1, which had an Isuzu engine in it, we got 34.6 miles per gallon at 55 miles an hour. And that same afternoon, I went out and drove at 100 miles an hour. So that was kind of an exciting day, and we drank a lot of beer that night. Yes.
Where did the name come from?
Well, about the same time I was working on that early sketch and thought, gee, this might be a neat idea, Nina and I and our daughter were driving up to Lake Michigan for a week's vacation. And I said, we really need to do a name for this thing, whatever it's going to be. And having been with DeLorean, I said, it is not going to be the Collins Motor Company. I don't believe in that. And so Nina was throwing out names, and my daughter was throwing out names, and Vixen came out, and I said, I like it. Let's use that. And somebody asked me that the other day and didn't believe that as an answer. Frank.
In your early drawing where you and Nina, or not the drawing, but the build-up that you and Nina did, you had a square, like almost an SU roof. That you didn't have to stand in it.
Yeah, that was, we said we needed to have a way of raising the roof. And when I started out, I was going to raise it straight up. And the guys that did the engineering on that first prototype convinced me that that's a stupid idea, because trying to get something to go up, all four corners to go up at the same time, doesn't work. And so it was suggested that we tilt it up. And by tilting it up on the side we did, as you all know, you can walk in because you have to duck down anyway. And it ended up being a very perfect solution to a nasty problem. Yes?
Yes, I was over in Mechanicsville once, and they had one of the earlier prototypes, and there was a stainless steel frame.
Yes, the Dash 1 had a stainless steel frame. I had just, come off working for DeLorean, and it didn't cost any more for the prototype to build a stainless steel frame than not, but it would have been too expensive for production. That is sitting in Shelbyville, Iowa right now. Yes?
Why did the bathroom window not stay and the passenger door not stay when you did the TV finally?
The passenger car, I'm sorry.
Well, we saw the passenger door in the front. On the side. On the side.
I never had one there.
It looked like it in the
No.
picture.
In the days that we did this, a lot of motorhomes were optioning the driver's door even.
Oh.
And I said that, we're not going to do that. We're not going to option driver's doors or spare tires to make the thing cheaper. We're going to do it right. But you really don't need another passenger door. It makes a very complicated engineering problem. As most of you all know, your driver's door doesn't fit as well as it ought to. And so you don't want to complicate things by having two of them that don't fit very well. The bathroom window, I don't know, Nina, maybe you ought to answer that one. We had it there, and you weren't sure you wanted one, and
I sort of liked it, but people were complaining that people could see in the bathroom.
Nina's saying that people complained that you could see in the bathroom, and so let's not put it in. And also it would create an additional problem when you're using it as a shower as to how you make the whole thing waterproof.
There were a lot of little...
Yeah.
When you put these together in the factory, did you set the machine in one position, or did you have a sort of a mass production and everybody put something else on as it went down the line? Or did you have long enough to really get things established?
I don't think we ever got that thing really working well. It really wasn't a super neat assembly line. You moved the vehicle down and various guys came in and did things, but it wasn't like an automotive assembly line where you're doing 60 an hour and they're just flying by and one guy just does one screw.